Good evening, this is Letitia Hinton, and today I want to talk about the energy associated with Mars in Cancer, or if you have several planets in the sign of Cancer in your natal chart, and some of the challenges that this presents, and also some of the remedies that are available if you find yourself in this particular position. So when we talk about the sign of Cancer, we are talking about a water sign. So all of the water signs, there are 3 water signs in the zodiac. The first water sign is Cancer, the second is Scorpio, and the third is Pisces. And when we talk about the sign of Cancer, this energy is associated mainly with nurturing. When we hear about Cancer, the first thing that comes to our mind oftentimes is a nurturer, is the mother energy. But it is more complex. It's more complex than just the mother energy that wants to bake in the kitchen and even be the mama bear. So as I think about the sign of Cancer, to explore it more deeply, I look to the symbology that is associated with the glyph of Cancer. So on the glyph, we can see what looks like the number 6 and the number 9 turned on its side. And what is interesting about the glyph is that these two sections of the glyph are separated, and that is something to really take into consideration. So if we look at the number 6, the number 6 is indeed associated with the mother energy. When we look at the shape of the number 6, we can see the belly of the pregnant woman. And then there is a curve in the line showing receptivity of information associated with the number 6. Again, this energy of holding on to what has been created, what has been manifested. This is what we see with the number 6. So also is the number 9. There is the shape of the number 9 here that we cannot ignore. So when I look to the number 9, I see that the top portion is larger. So of course it's the inverse of the number 6. So it is associated with that Sagittarian energy, in that it is the philosopher, it is the thinker, it is associated with deep thoughts. The number 9, of course, is associated with the Hermit card in the tarot. And the Hermit card, similar to the Hermit crab, and the crab, of course, is the animal that is associated with Cancer. So the Hermit is one that is about analyzing things, being alone, in study, has spent time thinking, and is quite rational, has a lot of wisdom to share. We're talking about the number 9, and we're talking about that Hermit energy that is associated with the Cancerian energy. So that the larger part of that number 9 is associated with how Cancer, those who have a lot of Cancerian energy, or Mars in Cancer in particular, can fluctuate back and forth from being heady, being in their head, being concerned about, worried about stability, worried about being able to produce. And then back to the number 6, which is very emotional. Again, Cancer is ruled by the moon. And the moon, of course, is constantly changing. Every 2.5 days, the moon changes signs. But even then, you know, the moon cycles. She goes from the black moon, which is the new moon, grows into the crescent shape, which is the waxing state. So she then waxes, and then once she gets to the full moon, then the light decreases, and then we go into the waning period. So the moon is constantly changing every day, and every month, every 2 weeks, we go through the new moon, full moon cycle, and then we go through these cycles 13 times a year. So with the moon, energy is a constant waxing and waning, changing signs, changing energy. So this is very much associated with the sign of Cancer. So again, just to reiterate, we have going from being emotional to going into this heady place, going into a place, Mars in Cancer in particular, a place of instability. So what is significant about Mars coming into this sign of Cancer? Mars is the god of war. Mars is take charge. Mars is let's move out. I got a plan. Let's go. Let's make it happen. Mars in the opposite sign of Cancer, in the sign of Capricorn, is exalted, which means that Mars operates at his best in the sign of Capricorn. And that is because Capricorn is steadfast. He's all about going to the top. And that energy of Mars, interestingly enough, is he rules Aries, and he also rules Scorpio. In the sign of Aries, the glyph for Aries, we can see that at the very bottom, so it turns into the horns of the ram, but at the very bottom, it is solid, it is together. And Aries rules the head. So head first, let's go, is the energy of Mars. So when Mars moves into this place opposite of Capricorn, which is not about moving forward, which is not about climbing the mountain necessarily. Okay, I had to pause my recording for a second. But Cancer is a cardinal sign. So all of the cardinal signs are about leading out and making a move. The difference with Cancer, the cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. But the difference with Cancer is that everything is based on feelings. So there's this great emotion, again, waxing and waning as the energy of the moon does, and then going from emotions to head, from thoughts to feelings, and back and forth. So Mars, this take charge fire energy, is now in the depths of the swirl of the water, of the emotions. So Mars in Cancer, whereas the crab is about moving sideways anyway. So when the crab is walking, it's walking sideways. It's not making a move directly. So you can oftentimes find with people, in people who have a lot of Cancerian energy, that they can be passive aggressive. They don't address issues head on if they have a lot of Cancerian energy. So with the hermit crab, if you study the hermit crab, you will see that the hermit crab will change shells. He's able to come out of one shell and go into another one. He needs to do it quickly because his flesh is exposed. So as he grows, he comes out of one shell and goes into another shell that is larger, that can fit his body. So again, with Cancer, we have this constant hiding. Again, going back to the Hermit card in the Tarot series, in the Major Arcana, the Hermit is hiding. So Cancerian energy is very emotional. In Mars, we're talking about Mars in particular. And again, like if you have a stellium or quite a few planets, you'll see this taking place quite often. And so Mars being there, there is this need to feel safe and feel secure, but not sure how to, because Mars is this fiery planet, and this fire going into this water is causing this boiling sensation to happen with this water. So imagine you mixed hot lava rock into the water. There is a boiling that begins to happen, and then the water cools the fire. But in the middle of that bubbling, there can be confusion, there can be an overwhelming need to just explode. And that is what often happens when people have a natal Mars in Cancer, because they don't know what to do with all of the emotions. So as that water gets hot from that hot Mars in that water, there are thoughts swirling, and they cannot go with the thoughts. We're talking about that 9 shape and then the 6 shape. Fear of instability, fear of losing what they have. Again, the crab has the pinchers, and they want to hold on for dear life. And so there is this desire to hold on. So if they become afraid, they cannot think clearly. They cannot go to the number 9 energy well. They're stuck down at the bottom, which, in that 6 energy of being afraid of losing security, being afraid of the children leaving, being afraid of being alone, being afraid of losing the house, being afraid of not being able to make ends meet. And then once the water cools, then that Cancerian energy will flip up to the head once the confusion has died down, and then a rational decision can be made, because now they have moved away from that the sacral chakra energy, and the confusion that is there with all of this boiling water, and they have come up to the crown chakra and the third eye chakra, and able to put their thoughts together and think about which way to go. But the issue that often happens when we have Mars in Cancer, or a lot of planets, personal planets in Cancer, is that decisions can be made out of fear. When there is not the rational thought, when we're operating on the bottom, of the glyph that looks like the 6. And when those decisions are made out of fear, words could have been said, decisions, life-altering decisions could have been made out of fear, divorce is made out of fear. Things said to children out of fear, out of anxiety. And then the consequences coming along behind that. And then again, fear and frustration come again. So one of the most critical things for the Mars in Cancer, or the person who has a lot of planets in the sign of Cancer, is to identify when they are in this boiling state, when they are not able to think clearly or rationally, and to get quiet, and to go within and to be still, so that decisions and words are not said from that boiling water, so that somebody around you won't get scalded by that heat. And one of the natural ways, because all of the elements that are around us are here to work with us and are here to help us to make it through the challenging aspects that we have been born with. And this is indeed one. And one of the most beautiful ways is to go to the water. If you don't live by the beach or near the river, put your hands in the water. Turn the sink on. Put your hands in the water. And let the water, which is so powerful, is one of the most powerful elements that bring cleansing and clearing to us. Let that water wash over the hands, or if you can take a bath. Sometimes you're so frustrated with this energy, your emotions are all over the place. You can't even run the bath water. But if you could just turn the water on, or if you could just grab a bottle of water and let that water flow through your body, so internally or externally. If you can grab some grapes and eat those, because there's a lot of water in those. Watermelon. Grab a melon fruit, something that has a lot of water in the fruit, or the bottle of water. Okay. Then that is something that will begin to calm down that the confusion that is associated with Mars in Cancer, or a lot of planets, a lot of personal planets in the sign of Cancer. Because the confusion really can be great. It really can be great. And then, once that happens, then the Mars in Cancer individual can make a plan, because the Cancerian energy is a cardinal energy. It is an energy that is about leading out and making decisions that bring great money. But it is in those times of fear that a lot of poor decisions can be made. And that's the thing that we don't want to do. And so this is just one of the ways that can really help if you have this position. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I want to share about this position in particular. I feel like I've said everything that I wanted to share. And if this resonates with you, then please, leave a comment, share, like, and subscribe, and I will talk to you soon.